I'm back. We're on our next episode of Why Houses Don't Sell. And we're going to start this lesson off with the inflexibility of the seller. That would be you. You are the seller. And this is one of the most important things that I think you should learn about the art of selling houses, because I can teach you how to attract leads, and I can teach you how to pre-screen them and how to get them qualified and how to get them interested in the house and get them the house and all of that. And we will go into all of that stuff here on these lessons. But here's what you have to understand if you want to be one who sells houses as fast as you can get them, and not one who's trying to cram that seller into that little bitty mold. I'd like to see you be able to put a square peg in a round hole and not cater to the 20% of the marketplace that can qualify for a loan right now. And you know that's about where you're at. 20% of the people looking for a house to buy right now can qualify for a loan. The other 80% who are looking cannot qualify for a loan because of some reason like credit or debt ratio or down payment or whatever. So I want you to be able to open yourself up to the 100% of the market that has anything to work with. That's not 100% of the market, because there's two things that I look for when I'm looking for buyers. And I don't have to have both of them, but I must have one of them. Number one, I need money. If they do not have any down payment, I can't help them, period. Case closed. The days of putting people into houses with down payment have not come to an end, but they have come to a point to where there's only a couple of ways you can do it. And one of those ways, incidentally, is a USDA loan. You might want to write that down and check it out, because USDA is still making 100% loans for buyers in what they call rural areas. But hey, that's not necessarily mean that it's a rural area. Now, I'm going to get into flexibility of financing here in the next portion of this lesson, or the next lesson. So let's table that for right now. But I'm looking for people who can qualify for a loan because they at least have the 3.5% down that FHA requires, or they have great credit, or both. However, in my world today, I sell more houses to people that I do not get financed than do right now. I like selling them on a lease purchase, which means in this case, I don't have to have good credit. In fact, rarely do I get good credit when I'm selling on a lease purchase program, but I absolutely insist on several $1,000s down. And if I can't get several $1,000s down or good credit, then I have absolutely no use for this suspect, and that's all they are, is a suspect. If I've got good credit and some down, maybe we can do something to get them the rest of the down payment, or get them into a program that doesn't require a down payment. If I've got poor credit and a lot down, then I might consider them a lease option candidate. And a lot down means at least 3% of the sales price, but guys, I'm telling you, I want to get more than that. Most of the time I do get more than that. If I'm putting a lease option tenant buyer in, say, a $150,000 house, I absolutely, minimum I'm going to take is $5,000, but I find it very, I wouldn't say frequent, and I wouldn't say normal, but not very difficult to get $10,000 and more as a non-refundable option deposit on that house. So if somebody comes to me and they got $1,000 and they want a lease option my $150,000 house, they're instantly disqualified. There's nothing I can do for them unless they can bring me more money. If they come to me and they got poor credit, but $15,000, they're instantly qualified. There's 15,000 reasons I need to take a serious look at why they should be in this house. I look at that $15,000 like that's their money that should be in my bank account. So if I can supply them a house they want, we're going to swap. Now, let's say they come to me and they got good credit and quite a bit of money down. Well, then it's totally their choice. And I point blank will tell them, do you want a lease option the house from me, which I'm happy to do for you, or do you want us to go get you a low interest loan right now and let them decide? A lot of people will not take the path of going and getting a new loan from the bank if they have another alternative, for several reasons. They just don't want to mess with the bank, or they feel some reason they won't qualify, or they would like to move into the house and find out if it's the house they want to live in before they obligate themselves, which is a smart tenant buyer. Yes, they will lose their deposit, and they know that going in, but sometimes it's better to lose your deposit than buy a house you're stuck with that you might want to have to try to get out of later. Remember, when I sell a house, I'm selling to them for retail price, so it's not like they're getting equity the day they buy. All right, so Inflexibility simply means I need to be the one who is flexible enough to find a person with money or credit or both and figure out how to get them into the house instead of looking for that almighty super qualified buyer all the time. And I think I've just explained what that means. If they've got money to work with, I'm going to lease option to them. If they don't, I'm not lease optioning to them. If they got credit, I try to get them a loan. If they got neither, I can do nothing, and I'll just get rid of them and keep looking for the best prospects. So be flexible. Now, the problem with flexibility is that many people back themselves into a trap, and they have only one exit, and that is to cash out of the house. And here are the reasons why. If they're paying cash for the house, sometimes people will borrow the money from a private lender, which we teach, of course, and they put a very short-term fuse in the loan. For example, a 6-month or a 1-year balloon. Many of the people that are in the loan business right now will insist on a short-term balloon because they want to rotate their money. They make their money by rotating the money. They get points when they loan it, so every time they can rotate it, they get to collect those points over and over again. They get tremendous annual rate of returns on their money. I know, I'm one of them. I've been making private loans for 20 years now, and I like to turn it as fast as I can turn it as well, as a lender. But as a borrower, I don't want to borrow it like that because it backs me into a corner. It gives me a short period of time to get out of the property, and the only way I can get out of it is to cash out of it. So I can't put a lease option tenant buyer in there because I got this balloon on this underlying debt. Well, the simple way to fix that is don't borrow money on short-term balloons like that. If you will let us teach you how to find your own private lenders, not mortgage brokers, not professional lenders, but your own individuals, people. In fact, we got a webinar coming up shortly on just that subject with my friend Jay Connor. And so if you get an email on that, be sure to tune into it because Jay's raised over $2 million in 90 days by just talking to people, and he's developed a very unique program to do that. But that's the key. If you're going to pay cash for houses, you cannot go to mortgage brokers or to loan sharks to get the money and not expect to have your exit strategy stop cold because of the short-term debt. So you're going to have to learn to get it from ordinary people with longer terms. If I borrow money on a private loan right now, it's at least 3 to 5 years and sometimes longer because frankly people want to keep their money out there longer rather than shorter anyway if they're getting a good rate of return on it. And we pay 7% interest right now on money we borrow from individuals, which, by the way, is 7 times more than they're getting in any bank account. So a great deal for them. All right, the next thing that will stop you from selling it fast is if you got your cash involved in the property. If you're going to write a great big old check to buy a house, then obviously you're going to want that check back quickly because you don't want to leave that money buried in the house, and rightfully so. So the way to make sure that that never happens is don't put your money in the house. If you put your money in the house, then that cash out is your only exit, so you've created your own trap and boxed yourself in, and now you've got to find that perfectly qualified buyer. If you're taking over a house subject to, there's no limit to how long you got to pay that house off. What's the rush? Go get that big, nice, non-refundable deposit from that tenant buyer, put them in the house, get cash flow monthly, get cash up front, and get cash when they cash you out on the back end, and build your business so you don't have to squeeze every single dime out of that property immediately. And by the way, when we get time to work together one-on-one, and I hope we do in my Quick Start School, which I'm teaching down here in Jacksonville in August, I'm going to show you why cashing out is the least profitable thing you can do. The least profitable thing. You are getting your clock clean when you go quick qualified buyers. You're paying twice as much tax doing it that way, and your expenses are enormous, whereas if you just had a little patience and learn how to buy these properties without boxing yourself into a trap and taking your time getting out of them, you make a lot more money and residual income to boot. By buying a house, fixing it, and selling it, you get one check. By buying it and lease optioning it out, you get multiple streams of income. So more on that later. That's it for now. We'll see you next week.